Hey fashion bosses, how are you doing today? Alright, welcome to a tutorial section with Fashion Boss Innovations Academy. My name still remains Faith Abraham. In today's tutorial class, I'm going to be showing us how to cut and sew this bustier. It's an off shoulder and then an half length, okay? So if this is what you want to learn, kindly stay to the end of the video, and please also kindly consider subscribing if you have not. Tap on the bell so you get notified each time we drop tutorial video. All right, let us start. Okay, so I have my fabric folded out already. Okay, as you can see, I have my starting line rolled out. Okay, this is where all our measurements are going to be starting from. So I'm going ahead right now to measure the length of the blouse, of the half length. Okay, whilst putting out 6 inches of my tape roll outside the line, the starting line, because it is an off shoulder. So I'm using 6 inches for the off shoulder. You can choose to use 4, 5, but I'm using 6. It depends on how you want it to appear on your shoulder. So after marking out the length of my blouse, I'm marking out 2 inches seam allowance for the blouse. Okay, I added 2 inches seam allowance to it. So while also putting out my tape roll on 6 inches, I'm marking out my bust point and my under bust point. Okay, so I'm going to extend the line to the other side. I chalk out my bust point and my under bust point. My 6 inches is outside my line. Okay, so after doing all of this, I'm going to connect the lines together. So you're marking out your bust points, your starting line, your bust point, your under bust, your waistline, and your sewing allowance. Okay, so the next thing for us to do right now is to mark our bust span, which is also known as a nipple to nipple and a distance between nipple, 4.5 inches. It is 8 inches. I divided it by 2 and added half-inch seam allowance to it to make it 4.5. So I'm connecting the bust span line right now. After connecting the bust span line, I'm going to come down to the under bust. Okay, so I'm taking my shoulders measurement. My shoulder measurement is 16 inches. I divide by 2, so I mark out 8. So I came down to the under bust, to the side closer to me. I'm marking 1 inch. Then at the other side of the line, I'm marking, taking out 2 inches. I will do the same at the bottom of the line, which is the length of the fabric down there. 1 inch, 2 inches. Okay, those are the points we are taking now to form our bustiers. Okay, so I'll come to the shoulder line and deduct 1 inch away from both sides of the line. 1 inch from the left, 1 inch from the right. Okay, and then I'm going to connect the line from the shoulder part to my bust line. Yes, to my bust line. I'll connect it to my bust line. Okay, like this. I'll also come to the under bust line and connect it using the curve area of my roller, and connect it to meet with my bust line. Okay, just see how I position the roller. Okay, to form the bust curve. Okay, position the roller this way, and then I will curve it to meet with my bust line. I will also do the same to the other side of the line. Okay, this way. If you do not have the roller, you can use your free hand to do this. Okay, and then I will mark a straight line from the under bust line down to the length of the blouse, as you can see me do. This forms a bustier for us. Okay, So after doing this, we are going to go ahead right now to impute our measurements, which are the circumferences of, our body, the bust circumference, the under bust circumference, the waist circumference. We are going to impute it right now. Okay. So what I do, my bust circumference is 40 or 42. So I divide it by 4, okay, and mark it there, and then add 6 inches to it. This 6 inches covers up everything for me, okay? You will understand better in the course of the class. So I just add up 6 inches to it after my made measurement. I come to my under bust. I take my under bust line. My under bust circumference is 32. I divide it by 4. I mark what I have there and also add 6 inches to it. The reason is because we are going to cut off 3 inches, okay, from the under bust where we've already curved. One part was 2 inches, one part was 1 inch. So by the time we take off that 3 inches, replace that 3 inches, we are going to be left with 3 inches. So I just go ahead to add 6 inches, okay? So it's better to be safe than to be sorry. So I measure my waist measurement and then also go ahead to add 6 inches to it, because we're going to replace all of these points that we marked out, okay? Yes, we are going to replace all of them. What we have there is 3 inches. We are going to cut it off and then we should be able to replace it back. That's why we are having 6 inches as our same allowance, okay? The same thing to the waistline also. Okay, so I'm going to connect this measurement together. So I will come to my where we have our shoulder line. We've measured 1 inch, 1 inch on the shoulder line that we are going to take off. We have to replace it back. It makes it 2 inches, so we're replacing it back with another 2 inches so that our shoulder will not be short when we sew. By the time we take off this 1 inch, we won't be in short, okay? So we have to replace it back. That's what I just did. So I'm going ahead right now to measure my armhole, putting out 6 inches of my tape and measuring my armhole at 8 inches. So I'm going to form the armhole curve right now using my roller. If you do not have the roller, you can use your free hand, okay? So if you have watched this video up to this point, I beg you to please kindly subscribe if you have not. And I also welcome you, our returning subscribers. I say thank you very much for always coming back. God bless you. If you are a first timer, thank you for coming back. Kindly consider subscribing. So we are cutting off this front panel. Now we are going to use it to cut our back panel, okay? So I'll just carry this front panel and place on another fabric to cut my back panel. So the 6 inches we added on the front panel, just makes everything easy for me. When I'm cutting my back panel, I don't have to start measuring from the beginning. So I just place it on another fabric and could just cut it out. In that 6 inches for the back panel, I have both my zipper allowance, my that allowance and everything, so it just works perfectly well for me. Okay, so I'm using my tracing wheel right now to trace out the waistline of this blouse. We need the waistline of this blouse. That is what I'm doing right now. I'm using my tracing wheel to trace out only the waistline of this blouse, okay? And the allowance, the 2 inches, same allowance. So I've traced. I'm going to, flesh it out by, marking it out with my chalk and ruler. So after doing that, I'm going to take off my front panel. I cut the excess fabric away from it. I'm unpinning it so I can take away my front panel. We're going to come back to cutting the front panel, okay? So at this back panel now, we are going to modify the waist a little. You know, the back, the human back is not straight. So in order for us not to have a bulge, you know, around the waist area when we fix our zippers, we have to deduct 1 inch away from the waistline, you know, away from the waist area at the back. That's why I needed to mark out that waistline. So I mark out 1 inch. Okay, we are going to cut that part out to enable our blouse sit well at our back area. So I'll slant this 1 inch to the upper part of this panel. Okay, this is to prevent any form of bulginess around the back area when we fix our zip. We're going to cut it out. So after doing that, I'm also going to go ahead right now to measure 2 inches for my zipper allowance. 2 inches. That's what I just did now. And I'm going to notch it. Okay. Notch it both up and down. So after notching the zipper area, we are going to measure our bust span, okay, which is serves as our darts, you know, on the back panel, 4.5 inches. That's what I'm doing right now. I'm going to mark it out, connect the line, 4.5 inches. You see, this method is very easy when you use your front panel to cut your back panel, okay? So I'm also going to go ahead to notch my darts area, okay, the darts line. It's very important you notch, you know, specific places when you are drafting your pattern or when you are, you know, cutting your fabric. After doing that, I'm marking my shoulder, okay? My shoulder is 8 inches, so I just marked it out. I'm also putting out 6 inches of my tape row outside on the back panel, okay? Please do not forget. So I'm marking out my bust line and my under bust so I can get my accurate measurements, okay? So as you can see, after you take your measurement, this pattern just works out well for me. That 6 inches we added to the front, it works out perfectly well for me at the back, okay? By the time I take out this 1 inches from the back and waist area to prevent bulge, I take out my zipper, my zipper, 2 inches from my zipper. The remaining inches just works well for my allowances, okay? So on this dart line, the 4.5, okay, I you have enough allowances to play with basically, okay? So we have cut out that 1 inch for the zipper area at the back. So we are done with the back panel. You just use that to cut your main fabric, okay? So we are coming back to the front panel right now to cut out the pieces. So this is what we have after cutting it. You see that 3 inches is a waist right now, okay? So I'm going ahead right now to notch my under bust area, okay, so I don't miss out. I don't make a mistake. Those areas are very, very important. So I notch my under bust area. I will also notch my bust points, okay? So when I'm placing panels together, they are properly positioned. Mark the bust points on both pieces of panels. So we are going to use this right now to cut our main fabric. Okay, this is the fabric we'll be using for the projects. So I use it to cut my main fabric. You are cutting it in two.
Okay, so this
Okay, two places,
our
one
fabric.
for the lining
This
and
is
one
the
for the main
one we
fabric.
drafted earlier. We used the door face, it served as our pattern. So I've used it to cut out the main fabric. Okay, this is it. This is one side, this is the middle panel, and then this is the other side. Okay, this is the one side and the middle panel. I use it to cut the main fabric. So this is going to serve as lining. I've gone ahead to infuse um, interfacing on it to give it a bit of firmness. Okay. So this is the main fabric. Please kindly pardon my voice, okay? I did a lot of singing. So this is the main fabric. Okay. I've also gone ahead to infuse my interfacing, stay, paper stay, and then my wording to pad it. And I'm also going to attach a breast cup to it. So if you want me to make a video on how to attach a breast cup to your bustier, please kindly drop a yes on the comment section below. This is the center part and this is the both side. So right about now, we are going to go ahead to start joining them. This is the back panel as well. Okay, I also infuse interfacing. This is the back panel for the main fabric. Okay, and then this is the lining for the back panel. Okay, so we are going to go ahead right now to sew. Don't forget we are the emphasis is on, the upper bodies, the bustier, is a dress, but the emphasis for this class is just to show you how to, cut and join a bustier, okay? A half length bustier that you'll be attaching to your skirt, any kind of skirt you want, okay? So you pick up the center panel, right now. You pick up one of the side, you place it this way. You see, everything is properly aligned. Everything is properly aligned. You place it this way and then you start sewing from the down parts. You sew from the down parts into this way using a 0.5 inch and into this way, making sure that your under bust is properly notched, okay, properly notched. So when you are sewing, you make sure that the under bust, the notched parts, meets the notched parts of the under bust. Don't forget that. That will keep you on track, okay? So you sew like this, you bring it this way, and then you sew like this. All right, I'll just pin it down. So when I'm done sewing, don't forget you are starting. The rule is that you start from the bottom to the top, not from the top to the bottom. From the bottom to the top. Please kindly take note. You open it up, okay, and then you pick up the other panel, the other side. You place it this way, okay, this way. You see, everything is properly aligned. Make sure you use your notches very well, okay? And then you also sew to the top, okay? You're sewing from the bottom. From here, you take it to the cuff and then to the top, all right? So whatever you did, you are doing to the main fabric, you also do to the lining. You join your lining, okay, the same way. All right, from the bottom to the top, you pick the second panel, and then you also join from the bottom to the top. Okay, and then you come to your back panel. This is the back panel. Remember how we drafted it? This is the zipper allowance, okay, and this is our darts, the bust span, the 4.5 where we chalked out as our darts. So you pick it up, this way. You can choose to cut it off and then rejoin, okay, but for me, I think it's quicker this way. I sew, and easy for me. I sew and then I open it up and iron. So you pick it this way. You fold it like this, okay, and you sew with 0.5, which is the allowance you left, okay. You sew it down with 0.5. You've held your dart, you've joined it, okay, and then you do the same to the other piece, okay. Make sure you use your notches properly. You notch your zipper allowance, you notch your dart area, okay. You just pick it up like this and you sew straight down using 0.5, okay. And whatever you do to the main piece, you also do to the lining. All right, pick up your lining, fold it this way using your notches, and you sew with 0.5. All right, so I'm done sewing, as you can see, very neat. So we'll turn it like this. You notch properly, so that it relaxes properly. You do the same to the other side. Okay, and then you bring it out. This is it. This is the inner view. You see your bust here, very beautiful. So even if I don't get to attach a breast cup to it, it's beautiful. It's just that some clients usually, order ask for breast cup. You see how beautiful. You see, if you follow the step I illustrated in this video, you shouldn't have a problem cutting and sewing your bustier. You see how beautiful it is. We've not ironed it, so we're still going to give it a very good press. A very good press. You see how beautiful it is. So you iron it properly. You have to open it up this way, okay, and iron it properly till it lays flat. You can use a steaming iron. If you don't have a steaming iron, you can sprinkle water, okay. But if you have to sprinkle water on your outfit on the fabric, you have to be sure of the kind of fabric you are using. You have to be sure that it's not a type that fades, okay, so that a customer or a client fabric does not turn or does not get faded whilst with you. So you have to be very careful with and sensitive to fabric, and then you iron it properly. So if you have watched this video up to this time, up to this point, and you've not subscribed, please kindly do. Okay, tap on the subscription button and tap on the bell so you get notified each time we drop new videos. You'll be the first to know. Okay, this is the lining for it. This is the lining for it. This is the lining. Okay, and these are the back panel and the lining. I've sewed the darts area. We can open it so that we can iron properly. Okay, so like this video, share, drop a comment for me in the comment section, give it a thumbs up so that it is visible to others. And if you're a returning subscriber, I want to say very big thank you. Thanks for always stopping by. We appreciate you. Like I always say, without you, there will be no fashion. But God bless you so very much. So you open it this way, okay, and then you give it a proper ironing. Okay, you do the same to the other side. So if you're not attaching illusion to this upper part, all you need to do is to get your lining, okay, place it this way, okay, making sure that the seams, all seams, meet all seams, okay. Use your lining to turn the main fabric, okay, by sewing the side this way, the upper part. At this point, if you want a sweetheart neck around this part, you can you can you can input it. How do you input your sweetheart neck? Just fold this into two, okay, you determine how deep you want the sweetheart neck to be, okay. For me, I'll be using 2 inches because we've already deducted 6 inches from the upper part. So I'll be using 2 inches so that it won't be too deep. The client does not want her cleavages to be open, so I use 2 inches like this, and then I'll get my curve roller. You can actually also use your hand, and connect it like this, okay, like this, or you use your curve roller, whichsoever one you find convenient. Okay, so that's how to cut your sweetheart's neck. And then by the time you open it up, this is what you have. Okay, this is what you have. Your sweetheart neck is ready. So you do the same to your lining, okay, and then you use it to turn the fabric. You sew down, you sew the upper parts of the lining, this way. Don't forget, you have to replicate this sweetheart neck on your lining. So you sew like this into the sweetheart neck, okay, into the spot, okay. So you place your lining on your main fabric this way and then sew like this to this point where your armhole starts. You sew the sides, you sew the sides. That's for the front piece. Then for the back piece, this is the main fabric, okay. I'm attaching illusion to the upper chest area. So if you want me to make a video on how to attach illusion, you know, to the upper parts, kindly drop a yes on the comments below. I'll do that. But the emphasis for this video is to teach us how to cut and join a bustier, a half length bustier, okay. So see, this is the back piece and this is the lining for this. This is the lining for this, okay. So you take it to your sewing machine and then you sew the side, the side, the side, okay. You sew the side, and the up area. So after sewing the side, you turn it inside out. This is it. You iron it properly. See your bust here? It's looking very beautiful. You iron it properly. This is the front. This is the back. You iron it properly. This is the side, I mean the back. Okay. You can choose to give it any kind of sleeve and design you want. You bring both back together. You mark out your zipper allowance. Your zipper allowance. This is mine. Mine is 2 inches. After turning, it will remain 1.5 inches. So this is what we have. This is what you will have. This is the front panel. You bring both together. You shape it. You shape the side. You shape the side. Or you can choose to attach it to your bottom panel before shaping. This is mine. You place it this way, sideways. Okay, make sure you iron it properly. Okay, so basically this is how to cut and sew your bustier, your half length bustier, and you can use the same pattern for any kind of style that you want to do bustier on. Okay, so if you know you've learned anything from this video, kindly like, share, give a thumbs up, and do not forget to subscribe. So this is what you should have by the time you join it to your skirts or to your down body. This is what you should have. Okay, so basically this is how to make your bustier. All right, and then you do the same thing to the back. All right guys, thanks for staying tuned. See you guys on our next video. Bye bye for now.